Alyssa from Meditative Astrology, and welcome back to our weekly astrological breakdowns, where we look at the transits of the week day by day and break down the energies and the placements. This week we have a variety of aspects that are going on, as well as a sign change. So before we get into all of that, I want to remind you to like, follow, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. That way you catch all of our updates, you see the videos when they're released, as well as having reminders for our weekly astrological meditations that we have Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Those are streamed live to YouTube and to Facebook. So moving into the week, we start out on Sunday, March 2nd, with the moon in the sign of Aries all day. The moon will make a square to Mars in the morning, and there is a square between the sun and Jupiter that we have coming in today. So the sun is in the sign of Pisces, and it is squaring Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. Anytime you have a square between the sun and Jupiter, there is questions called of our purpose, of our path, and of higher meaning. Jupiter is the planet that expands things and broadens the horizons and wants to bring all things together. The sun represents our solar self, the way we shine out, our outward expression. There are questions of our soul, questions of our ego, questions of our purpose and of our path that is coming through here. We could be called into question the different paradigms and the beliefs and the ethics and the moralities that we hold. We could be looking at an illumination of the different systems and mindsets and the beliefs that we hold to, as well as the ones that we are challenged to take into question and to consider. There is a possibility of shifting our perspective when you have a square. When you have a square, there is a challenge, or there is a scratchy aspect. There is enough tension there just to make us uncomfortable enough to make us to want to shift or to make us want to change. So this shift and this change could come between the rational and the emotional realms trying to come together. There are differences between those two different aspects of our lives, and what efforts do we need to put into place in order to unify those two different aspects of our lives and of ourselves. As these paradigms are put into the spotlight, we could be looking at our viewpoints, we could be looking at our perspectives, and we could be called to shift through the square aspect and consider other perspectives, other thoughts, other beliefs, and other ways of going about doing things. Maybe there's new information coming in, maybe there are new connections coming through the sign of Pisces, new information coming through the sign of Gemini. Jupiter in the sign of Gemini likes to bring in lots of information and lots of different pieces to present to us. So perhaps Jupiter in the sign of Gemini is presenting to us, ourselves, the sun, our solar selves, our soul, our ego, our higher selves, a way to realize that there are other information and other little pieces that could come through that could serve these higher systems and higher paradigms that are a part of our lives coming through. So I would be looking for new information and new connections made. There could even be an emotional connection to the information that comes through, with the sun being in the sign of Pisces here with this aspect. So then we move into Monday, March 3rd. The moon will be in the sign of Aries and Taurus this day, moving into the sign of Taurus about 5:30 in the morning. So being in Taurus through most of the day, making a square to Pluto about 10:30 in the morning Eastern time, and Mercury moves into the sign of Aries this day as well. When we have Mercury in the sign of Aries, it's going to be a very different feel from Mercury in the sign of Pisces. Mercury in Pisces is a little bit more calm-mannered as far as outwardly go, a little bit more internally and reflective, and emotionally stimulated more internally, where now Mercury moving into the sign of Aries is going to be much more bold, much more fiery, and much more outspoken. So as Mercury moves into the sign of Aries, you may find that motivations start to shift. You may find that speech comes quickly. There is a level of needing to have a little bit of extra mindfulness, because Mercury in the sign of Aries does not necessarily hold back on what it wants to say. So if there are brash or straightforward conversations that come up through here, just having a little bit of extra mindfulness to remind us to slow down and not always charge forward with our words. Sometimes that's very helpful and sometimes being direct is necessary, but sometimes we can be a little bit too forward with Mercury and the sign of Aries. Fast-moving processes. Mercury is a fast-moving planet. Aries is a sign that likes to start, initiate, move fast. So things could start to shift kind of quickly. You could notice tools, resources, and different things that give you ability shifting, coming and going kind of quickly. So lots of little different moving pieces that can move quick when Mercury is in the sign of Aries. And as soon as Mercury moves into Aries, it will start applying to a conjunction with Venus that will be building all the way into next week. So just keeping that in mind as well. That will bring us into Tuesday, March 4th, where we will have no exact aspects, and the moon will be in the sign of Taurus all day, making conjunction to Uranus. Again, no exact aspects coming through this day. That brings us into Wednesday, March 5th. Moon will start out in the sign of Taurus, moving into Gemini about 7:30 a.m. before making a sextile to Mercury and a trine to Pluto. Now, normally I only point out the major aspects, the conjunctions, the squares, and the oppositions. However, this lunar aspect is important with the exact aspect that we have going on today of Mercury sextiling Pluto in the morning. So when Mercury comes into a sextile with Pluto, it could be subtle, but it can be a powerful moment of intensity. There can be depth and an intenseness to our speech, to our thoughts, the way we communicate and the way we perceive things, as well as the way that others perceive the way we communicate with things. There can be unforeseen assistance that comes through. Mercury is the planet that brings us tools and resources that allows us to accomplish what we need to accomplish, and Pluto brings things up from the shadows, from the depths. So there is this way that when Mercury comes into a favorable aspect with Pluto, that we could start to have some unexpected tools, resources, or helpful things that kind of pop up out of nowhere to help us out in a way. So that is a fun little helpful benefit of this aspect. There could be a way that we see deeper meanings within things. Maybe we see things in a little bit different light that allows us to see a little bit deeper into the weeds and the information of whatever the thing is that we're looking at here. And there's a level of study and a level of investigation that comes through with Mercury and Pluto coming into this aspect. So there's this way in which I wonder if we will be gathering information and presenting it in a way. Gathering the information from Mercury coming through here in the sign of Aries. So Aries being a sign that takes action and there's movement. So we are moving within the mental realm. So we are gathering information and we are collecting it all together and maybe gathering it kind of quickly. And then making a sextile to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Both of these are masculine signs, so they are a little bit more extroverted and a little bit more loud. So that's where I'm wondering if maybe we will be gathering the information and kind of investigating things and getting details, but then these two masculine signs, maybe they will want to share that information and present it in a way and be outspoken about that information that is coming through. So wondering how we will see that showing up. And again, this sextile from the moon to Mercury and the trine to Pluto coming through right around the same time, it just amplifies this quick little moment that comes through between these two planets. Because when you have Mercury aspects, they really can move quickly, so they can be quick, subtle, but powerful. Maybe almost the type where you notice them after the fact. So that's what we have for Wednesday. And then we move into Thursday, February 6th, where we do not have any exact aspects. The moon will be in the sign of Gemini all day, making conjunction to Pluto. And same thing on Friday, February 7th. No exact aspects coming through here either. Moon starts out in the sign of Gemini and then moves into the sign of Cancer before making a square to Mercury. On Saturday, March 8th, we do have a trine between the Sun and Mars, and the Moon will be in the sign of Cancer all day, making a square to Venus and conjoining Mars in the evening. So the trine between Sun and Mars. Now this is a water trine. We've had several of these coming through as planets have made their way through the sign of Pisces. So we've had trines from Mercury, we've had trines from Venus, and now we have the trine from the Sun coming through. So it is similar energy that kind of keeps coming through with a little bit of a different flavor just by the planet that's moving through in the sign of Pisces. So similar energy coming through, but maybe just a shift of the area of focus for these set of trines that are coming through to Mars. So again, it's a water trine, so there is that emotional and intuitive and connective level. The water element, not only does it connect us to our emotions, but it also connects us to where we've come from. So it connects us to our history through memory. It connects us to our lineage and our ancestry being the place that we have come from and what has come before us. So there is this way where you may find actions and things coming up related to the family sphere. And it's, in fact, it may be that you have noticed these themes coming up where there are family or ancestral or familial tie things that have been popping up in your sphere in the last little while here. There is an emotional stamina that comes through the trine between the Sun and Mars. Both the Sun and Mars are planets that have power. They have strength, they have ability, they have a loud, extroverted energy that comes through. And then you have the trine that expands those two energies and brings them together. So, other than the conjunction between the Sun and Mars, this is the next aspect that has the most loud, outspoken, powerful energy between the Sun and Mars. There is an endurance to keep going and the ability to keep going even when exhausted. Water signs, they like rest, they like recovery, they like being able to care and take care. So sometimes that means slowing down. However, Sun and Mars has lots of powerful energy that comes through. So I could see where there's this endurance of pushing through, even through exhaustion. So just being mindful that we are not pushing ourselves to the point of burnout through this burst of energy that comes through with Sun and Mars coming through. There is willful, strong, courageous energy that comes through here at the end of the week, and the ability to carry out or convey water themes. So the ability to stay true to ourselves and stick with our emotions. There is an ability to, and stamina to connect with others through different ties and different emotional connections. Maybe there's ways that we are communicating with others and making our needs known, or others are making their needs known to us. This is very strong, willful energy that comes through here at the end of the week, after having the strong energy of the Sun and Jupiter starting out the week. So really, there is some strong and intense energy that comes through here, and it can be energy that is both energizing as well as perspective shifting that comes through this week. So I hope everybody has a absolutely wonderful week, and I will see you next week for our next breakdown, as well as next Sunday for the astrological meditation at 8:30 p.m. Have a great week, everybody.